Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt, and over the past couple years, I have threatened to buy a handful of different cars. And of course, followers of the channel will know how fond I am of Lexus V8s and specifically the LC500. So, with the added practicality of rear seats and a trunk, this is a strong contender for my next car. This is one of the cars I've been most excited to spend a week with all year. And that's because there's a very solid chance that my wife and I will end up with this one in our garage. But now, all of that's changed. I finally put my money where my mouth is, and today I'm going to walk you through the 8 reasons that I'm standing here next to my personal 2021 BMW M340i with xDrive. Let's get into the video. Now before we get started, I do want to level set here for a second. There's going to be a number of M340 videos hitting the channel later this year, but this one is not a straight up review or a comparison or some of the stuff that you're used to seeing on the channel. This is simply the personal reasons and the reason that this car now exists in my garage and in my life, the reasons that I bought it. I'd also like to take a minute to thank BMW MOTORSPORT and BMW Eyewear for sponsoring the channel for this video. They didn't pay for the car, of course, but they did make sure that we looked as cool as possible while we were doing our series, and they'll be supporting a number of the future videos with this M340. But with that, I think it's time to get into the video. Now, the first reason that I bought this car is largely personal, actually. I've been doing YouTube full-time now for almost 2 years. I just turned 30. I bought this car 2 days after my birthday, and I'd never really had a car that I kind of like went all in on. I kind of got exactly what I wanted, the spec that I wanted. You know, I didn't worry about getting the cheapest one that I could find within 300 miles or whatever. This is kind of a treat to me, and it's made possible, and I'm very, very aware that it's made possible by all of you that come out and watch and support the channel. So it's a huge thanks to you guys, and you're the reason that I get to have this car that I love now. So thank you. Number 2, I want to talk about the cars that I considered but didn't end up buying. Now, the first one is the Ioniq 5N, and this is something that I was really considering doing because I've never had an electric car. Based on what I do for my job, I now get a new car in my driveway every week. I hardly drive my normal car anyway, so having something that can sit in the garage on a charger is always ready to go. I don't have to worry about it. That would have been really nice. Plus, I would have been one of the first people on YouTube, so from a business perspective, I could have, recouped some of that money that way. There's also the tax benefits of having an EV and also just having a new experience. I've experienced a lot of internal combustion cars. I've never owned an electric vehicle, so there was some interest there, and I was pretty close to really considering pulling the trigger on something like the Ioniq 5N or the Ioniq 5N. What it really came down to was money. It still hasn't launched yet. My Mazda, I was kind of getting the itch to get rid of, and I just saw the estimate on Car and Driver for the Ioniq 5N going up and up and up and up, and at like 60, 65, okay, maybe I can justify it with like the tax incentives and that sort of thing. But as it started to climb up in the higher 60s and towards 70 grand, I'm like, you know what? I don't know that I can really justify this, so that's how it got nixed. Another car that I considered, and you guys will know because obviously I talked about it on the channel, is the Elantra N. And I'm now realizing that I probably shouldn't have put both Hyundais at the front of the list, but I did really consider the Elantra N. It is such a rambunctious little car. It's got so much personality, and it's just so much performance, and also the practicality of having a rear seat and a trunk for like the low $30,000 is incredible. The package that you get there is just unbelievable for the money. But at the end of the day, I wanted something that was a little bit more, something that I had aspired to. And I've always kind of had something for BMW in my mind. You guys know that I used to own an E30, so this is kind of the direction that I went. Plus there's the whole front wheel drive thing. I like to slide the tail out a little bit, as you guys know, so that's kind of why the Elantra N got nixed. It is still, and remains to this day, to be a fantastic package, but just didn't quite make it. And the next one is something that you guys will probably be pretty familiar with. It's the last car that I claimed I was looking at on the channel. It's the IS500 from Lexus. That kind of practical, everyday, every man's interpretation of the LC500. Still to this day one of my favorite cars. That fire snorting 5-liter, just incredible bellow from that V8 from Lexus. And it's something that I could have pitched to my wife. It's something that I could have justified. Okay, it's got 4 doors, it's got 5 seats, it's got a trunk, it's practical. But at the end of the day, I spent a week with that car last summer, and it was very good. It's very good, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a little bit more unhinged, kind of like the LC500, just the absolute raucous sound that you get, the crack that you get on the downshift, the brrr that you get on the rev limiter before you hit the upshift. I think what it comes down to is just the 8-speed in that car really hurts it. If it had the 10-speed from the LC, that's probably what would be sitting next to me right now. So it just wasn't quite what I was expecting, and so I just couldn't do it. And the last car that I really considered and actually went and test drove a couple of is an F90 M5. The 2018 BMW M5 was one of the first videos that I did on the channel. It was one of the first like prestige kind of like really cool cars that I got to review on the channel, and it was made possible again thanks to our friends at International BMW, which, you know, obviously you guys know we have a good relationship with. It was also the first car that I'd ever been around a racetrack in. I did a day at Road America for the IMSA races, and there was a BMW experience. I got to ride in the M5 around Road America with a professional driver, and that's when I learned that like I am very slow and that cars can go very, very fast. So it was on a personal level like something that's really interesting to me, and also like it's an M5, it's super cool. And I did go and look at a couple in the Chicagoland area. There was one for sale that was like $52K, which was several $1,000s less than like every other M5. And then I went to go look at it in Joliet, and I realized why it was several $1,000s less than every M5. It was kind of beat up. So then I found another one that was the spec that I wanted. It was white with the black wheels, as you see here. And I went to go look at that one, and that one was pushing 60 grand. And after driving that, it still didn't have, you know, like a 360 camera, it didn't have the cooled seats, and like all the stuff that I would want in an M5, which I know sounds ridiculous saying like an M5, I need all these comfort things, but it's what I wanted. So I went to go drive that, and then I realized to actually get an M5 in the proper nick with the proper kit on it, I'm gonna have to spend 60 or above. And just like the Ioniq 5, I couldn't justify spending that money. So for a number of reasons that we'll continue to get into in this video here, the M340i sits next to me right now. But before I get into more specifics on why I love this car and why I chose it, I do again want to thank BMW Motorsport and BMW Eyewear for supporting the channel for this video. Now, I've teamed up with BMW Motorsport and BMW Eyewear, who are sponsoring the channel for this video, so I can show you guys some of the awesome sunglasses you can get to match your car and display your status as a passionate member of the BMW enthusiast community. The styles themselves have a little something for everyone, like the clean and classic blue lensed Aviator with the white stock for the traditional E30 enthusiast like myself, to the more modern lightweight performance Wayfarer style for the X5M driver. And depending on what style you get, you'll get cool little details like M color matched lenses, an M tricolor soft pouch for carrying, and each one comes with a little envelope containing a holographic sticker proving the official authenticity. And the coolest thing is you can get these things at KOHLS, link in the description below, of course, and when you buy them, you'll earn KOHLS cash towards your second, third, and fourth pair, so you can continue to buy more awesome specs to match your car. So I think that's kind of cool. Now more specifically about what I love about this car and why I chose the M340i. And the first thing is obviously the performance here. We'll start with what's under the engine. It's the B58. You're probably all tired of hearing about it, but it is kind of just a cheat code. It's just so good. 3-liter inline turbocharged 6. On paper, 382 horsepower, 396 or 369 pound-feet of torque. Really, it's probably making about 400, 410. But it's just so good. It's unbelievably smooth. The power band is super broad. You've got power and torque everywhere in the gearbox. The gearbox itself, that ZF 8-speed, no one's touching BMW's shift logic. It is as fast as a DCT, and it's as smooth as a normal torque converted automatic. I mean, there's a reason that the M cars now go with the ZF rather than the DCTs that they had from previous generation. Then you've got the M Sport differential. I've got the X-Drive car. I've got all-wheel drive. But I think the reason that I went with this again versus something else that's all-wheel drive is BMW's chassis tuning. The balance is really good. It's really close to 50-50. Plus with the M Sport differential and BMW's multiple levels of traction control, you can actually get the back end to hang out and slide around a little bit. You're not going to really get that as much, at least in the Audis. And I think that's really some of the big reasons that I went to this car. The performance and the balance are just, they're kind of unmatched. The next closest thing might be the C43. That's also really got good character to it. This has maybe a little bit less personality, but it's just a clinic on driving precision in this class. And then the next reason is less sexy. It's the practicality of the car. And this one is a big deal for me, but also for my wife, you know. And it's the fact that you have 4 doors and you have 5 seats and you have a trunk and you have all-wheel drive for the Wisconsin winters that we get here. So having that peace of mind, having traction in case she ever needs to borrow the car for any reason, you know, it's something that she can get in and feel comfortable and feel confident in. I know we can put snow tires on there and that sort of thing, but it's so difficult to argue with, again, from the perspective of a practical and everyday standpoint. It just makes a lot of sense. And then of course there's the money aspect, something that applies to us all, right? And at the end of the day, this is just the more sensible, more affordable option versus most everything aside from the Elantra N that I looked at. The Ioniq 5 was gonna be $65,000 to $70,000. The M5, I was gonna end up spending like 10 to 15, maybe even $20,000 more than on this thing, and that was gonna have, you know, worse fuel economy and, you know, all that sort of thing, questionable reliability perhaps. And then the IS 500s, they are only a year or 2 old. They're holding their value incredibly well, which, you know, good for them. That's probably a future collectible, and it's still a brilliant car. But at the end of the day, what I took home was the exact spec that I wanted in a bulletproof B58 with great performance, great practicality for $46,000 in the exact spec that I wanted. There was potentially a blue option, but this is really what I wanted. So $46K for $33,000 on the clock. This is something I feel really good about. And then there's the looks. I like the look of the car. I do. I like that it doesn't have the huge buck teeth grille. It's grown on me a little bit thanks to our time in California with that M4 competition and that Daytona Blue. That was a great spec, by the way. But I like the look of the car. It's got kind of a classic BMW kidney, kind of mini Angel Eye. I know I probably want to get the lasers to get more of the Angel Eye. So it's got a little bit of that heritage there while still looking kind of clean and kind of BMW subtle, at least, you know, relatively speaking. But I really, really wanted this spec. I wanted the mineral white because you get that pearl effect with the sun. I wanted the black accents, the shadow line. I wanted to have the accessories here. I mean, this is OE splitter, carbon fiber, maybe. It's cracked, it's broken, it needs to be replaced. So I need to do something about that. But it's also got the carbon fiber wing on the lip back there. So it is just a handsome car. I mean, if you guys remember back, and this is like OG subscribers, if you remember back when I had my E30, originally I set out looking for a white coupe and I took home a red convertible. So I've never really had like the spec BMW 3 Series that I wanted, and now I finally do. So I really like the look of the car. And maybe another unsexy point, but a reality of owning a car, and it's the fact that I don't have to question the reliability, and I'm really, really happy with the efficiency here. I'm not always driving flat out. I'm not always driving on a track. Sometimes I just need to get to and from someplace. Maybe I'm tired in the morning or whatever, and I just need it to be a 3 Series. And that's when, you know, the B58 is really smooth with the ZF 8-speed, and it's really efficient on the highway. If you throw it in Eco Pro, I mean, you're getting like low to mid, maybe even high 30s, depending on, you know, which way the wind is going. So it's really, really fuel efficient. Again, something that I was really close to pulling the trigger on, something like an F90 M5. You know, that's a 4.4 twin turbo V8 versus a 3-liter straight 6 here. You know, that was going to get like half of the fuel economy that this was going to get, and that's just an easier pill for me to swallow, and also for my wife. And the other side of that being the reliability component of having the B58. It's legendary in terms of its reliability, its longevity, its durability, your ability to add power to it. I don't currently have plans to add power to it. Maybe that's down the road, but as of right now, it's just kind of bulletproof. And then one of the last things we'll talk about is just the features that you get here. Now, I'm used to getting press cars, which always come loaded out to the gills, so I've grown accustomed to a certain standard of living. This doesn't have everything. I don't have all of the driver assist stuff. I don't have the Vernasca leather or whatever it is. I've got the Sensitech. So, you know, it doesn't have everything, but it has everything that I think I really need. I've got wireless CarPlay, I've got heated seats, a heated steering wheel, I've got a sunroof. You know, it's got everything that I need, and I think that's going to be okay for how much I drive it. But that's it. Those are my 8 reasons as to why I'm sitting next to this BMW M340i. I am so happy about it. I love the car so far. I bought it 2 days after I turned 30, so I've had it for about a month, but I haven't been able to shoot anything with it yet. So this will be the first video of several this year. We'll kind of document the ownership series and the things that I do with it. We're going to take it on the track. We might do a tire test. We'll do like a 6-month update and that sort of thing, and any modifications that are made, you know, we'll obviously let you guys know here on the channel, but those are the 8 reasons that I'm sitting next to this and not an M5, not an IS 500, not an Ioniq 5N. But I did want to just kind of let you guys know kind of a loose idea of my plans for the car. Like I said, I'm not planning on adding like power to it, but I do want to replace the rear wing. The OE carbon fiber stuff, obviously the front splitter's been chewed up, but the rear wing doesn't have like the cuts and the divots like you see from like the Adro one or the AKA Motorsports one. I might put skirts on it, I might not, depending on, you know, I probably don't want to pay for the Adro stuff, but that's probably the coolest looking skirt that you can get. I do for sure want to get the M Performance exhaust, because that's really my biggest issue with the car right now, is it doesn't have that loud tone and character. We were in, you know, Southern California for 10 days with that M4 competition, and you grow accustomed to a certain level of sound and experience, and it's just a little muted and dull, so it does need the M Performance exhaust or some sort of exhaust. So if you guys have recommendations, leave it down in the description. In terms of wheels, I really like the style 795M wheels. Those are like the summer performance wheels, and of course in black, but that would probably be way down the road. Maybe the HRE FF10s, they're like a pretty similar design and they're a lot cheaper, so who knows? That's kind of lower on the totem pole for priorities. And then maybe just for fun, I wrap it in something like dark color shift purple or something, and then of course replace that front splitter, and of course fix the window tinting that they screwed up with the window sticker. Those are small cosmetic things, but those are the things that I'm looking forward to with the car. Again, thank you guys so much for making this possible. I'm so stoked about my new car, and I hope you guys are, and I hope you're excited to see some stuff on the channel about my experience with it. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.